Whether deep in the earth or along the tops of the Appalachian Mountains, Artifications explores how the art world is crystallizing in Asheville, North Carolina. Welcome to the largest city in western North Carolina. This town of just over 90,000 casts a wide cultural shadow over the region. Asheville may be only the 12th largest city in all of North Carolina. Everyone knows of its natural beauty and wants to see it for themselves. Its naturally good juju can be traced back to its founding at the intersection of two ancient Indian trails. Once the area was incorporated in 1797, it took on the name of Asheville after then North Carolina Governor Samuel Ashe. Asheville can be considered a city of transplants, a city with steady growth through much of the last century, inspired by tourism and the arts. We're going to focus on two distinctly artistic-driven neighborhoods: Biltmore, located close to the center of Asheville proper, and by the French Broad River, the sprawling River Arts District. Pack Square marks the beginning of Biltmore Avenue. While you can find smaller galleries all over the city, the biggest and the brightest spaces are all right here. Yo. Founded in 1990, Blue Spiral 1 currently displays 3 full floors of art. The natural flow of the collection and the aesthetic variations between artists and rooms tells me that this space knows what its clientele likes.
My name is Candace Reilly, and you are at Blue Spiral 1. Our main 2 levels are special exhibitions, so we rotate our represented artists into those exhibitions, but we often invite artists that we don't represent in for special themed shows. So right now we have a plein air show going on, and about 50% of the artists in this show are artists that we regularly represent. And we represent over 100 from all over the Southeast, which is our focus. We've had a strong group of artists since the beginning, and a good handful of the artists that we represent have been here for almost 30 years since the gallery opened. Our seeking out of artists has to do with a specific exhibition that we're putting on. So we had a couple of exciting new artists that we brought in for this show, just because they treated the subject matter a lot differently than some of the artists that we represent. Sometimes we find that artist from a group of 200 that will work perfectly with us.
The River Arts District is tied to the history of the French Broad River, which runs just along its coast, filled with all the trains and river traffic that one could imagine one needs for a bustling town. And that all ended in 1916, when a tremendous flood came in and ravaged the area, rendering the region useless for years to come. It wasn't until the 1970s when scrappy groups of artists would come together to reclaim and reuse this area in the name of promoting the arts. Soon enough, artists from all over the country were moving here with a mind to stay. I spoke with Tebbe Kevin Davis about the district's role in reshaping the larger Asheville art scene.
Well, there's the River Arts District, which is about a mile by a half mile. And there are 5 separate locations within that district. You got the Riverview, you got Cotton Mill, which is about a mile north of here. Then across the tracks you have the Wedge, Odyssey, and Pink Dog, which are basically clusters of buildings. But you can't get from here to there without getting in a car and driving there. And there is a trolley, the gray line and the red line of our tourist trolley that you pay to get on, drops people off at all the locations every day. I'm the vice president of the River Arts District right now, which is the 300 artist community that's down here. And the city and law enforcement and Visitors Bureau all are very supportive of the River Arts District. They don't give us money, but they are repairing all of our streets right now to make it more conducive to traveling and make the River Arts District a much more accessible area for tourists. I personally run a business in town, Asheville by Foot walking tours, and I direct people to come down here. My tour is in town, it's around the historic district, architecture, personalities, what have you. But I direct people down here and tell them how to get here, where to get the trolley and stuff like that. Well, my wife and I, when we first got together, our first summer together, we drove the Blue Ridge Parkway. We lived in Connecticut and got a flat tire on the Blue Ridge Parkway just outside of Asheville and stumbled down the mountain and came into Asheville, and we thought it was a cool little city. And the city was half boarded up at the time. It wasn't what it is now. And what we did was we just looked around. And a year later we got married, rented a house up in the mountains, and came down in Asheville. I made friends with a realtor. She sold us a house. A year later we sold everything, quit our jobs, and moved down here. And we had been looking for an arts community. We had been to Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, Portland, Maine. We had been to Nova Scotia. We had been to upstate New York and in the Rhinebeck area, looking for an arts community to move to. And we didn't really know Asheville was really an arts community. It was a cool place to be. It had a vibe, it had an energy, it had an aura about it that just drew us here. And that's the story for many people. We can afford to be here, you know, but young kids coming here mistake Asheville for some kind of freebie. It ain't easy to live here, but it's worth it.
WEDGE Studios is located in the heart of the River Arts District and is a warren of studios itself in an area with high accessibility for artists who are looking to get started in the community. Crossing over a packed second floor, I came upon the whimsical art of Julie Armbruster. Her small studio was packed with so many interesting characters, I couldn't leave without taking a couple pieces with me and a quick interview.
Asheville by way of the AmeriCorps, where I volunteered for 2 years here doing literacy tutoring and after-school enrichment here in Buncombe County. I'm Julie Armbruster, and we are in the WEDGE building in the River Arts District in Asheville, North Carolina. I moved in here in 2009. I was sharing the space with a jeweler. It was not an open studio at the time, and for several years we did that, and it was just studio strolls twice a year. Yes, a lot has changed since I moved here, but when I moved here, it was because I really appreciated the energy, and I loved the community before even knowing them, and I wanted to be part of a community from day one. It was just a matter of asking for shows, for studio space, just opportunities at every turn, and no discouragement whatsoever. It was just, hey, you're into your thing. We have a space where you can make things, or we have a space where you can sell things, and let's work together.
The Cottonwood Building runs along the northern border of the River Arts District. Just above the beloved Guitar Bar, you will find the special studio of the psychedelic artist Ka. We stopped to speak with Ka about Asheville's influence on both her and her art.
I love the community here. There's a beautiful community of like-minded individuals that are really authentic and heart-centered, that I feel like are family. So there's this feeling of home here for me. Well, the inspiration comes from inside. It's usually either a story or a feeling that I wish to convey. It's usually an expression of spirit, and then either I'll start with a color palette or a geometry or a series of symbols. that want to start to tell the story, and then layer by layer, it goes on the canvas and it just starts to unfold. Well, I've definitely felt a pull to larger cities. I know that a lot of my more fashion-based work would do well in LA or New York, but I am a very nature-loving creature and can become easily imbalanced if I'm spending too much time in a big city. So being around the trees and the quiet. Right now I live on top of a mountain by myself at the edge of a ridge. So I feel like having that connection with the land and the serenity and peace of mind is really important for my well-being.
Asheville, North Carolina is truly a beautiful city. The nature, the mineral deposits create for a truly unique extrasensory experience. Everything about it is alluring. That's why I'm wondering why Asheville is still only the 12th largest city in all of North Carolina. Shh. Let's not let the secret get out. But I would recommend to anybody viewing this, as an artist or as a visitor, to take some time, make a planned jettison escape over to Asheville, and enjoy yourself for a minute. The natural air and the natural niceness of all the people there make it a truly wonderful visit. Thank you so much for watching Artifications. If you like what you're seeing, please follow all of our social media outlets. Take a moment seriously and follow us on YouTube, and most importantly, thank you. Our goal here is simple, to make the art world just a little smaller. Because you can't spell Earth without art. Take care. Yo. Yo.